maneuvers. The jets assisted in yaws as well as changing pitch, and permit very high angles of attack, that is, when the nose of the plane is pointed in a different direction than the vector of the plane. The Raptor uses two-dimensional vector thrust jets which can only go up and down in unison, affecting pitch only. This is still quite awesome. The Raptor is the only US fighter that is super maneuverable. But it's not the equal of the PAC-4's agility. What does maneuverability let you do in fighter combat? It can help the plane dodge missiles, useful in any scenario, and position itself in advantageous firing position for WVR combat. However, the most extreme maneuvers also cost a lot of a plane's energy, and US doctrine has always favored remaining in a high-energy state, and the F-22 appears like it bleeds energy more slowly than its Russian counterpart. On to weapons. Although the F-22 has a reduced heat signature, the bottom line is that in WVR combat, stealth fighters are still vulnerable to infrared-guided missiles. Both aircraft can carry two. For a long time, Russian aircraft had the advantage of superior short-range R-73 heat-seeking missiles that could be targeted via helmet-mounted sights. The pilot just had to look at an enemy plane to shoot at it. Importantly, the plane did not even have to be pointed at the target. However, the United States finally deployed its own equivalent of the R-73, the AIM-9X, in 2004, and F-22s are finally planned to have the capability to use AIM-9XS by 2017. Helmet-mounted sights should come in 2020. By the time PAC-4s are in operational units, the two planes will have roughly equivalent short-range missile capabilities. The verdict: slight edge to PAC-4. Both aircraft are highly capable dogfighters, but the PAC-4 looks like it's the more agile of the two. Here's the thing about WVR combat, though. You only get to do it if you survive the beyond visual range encounter first. Let's immediately address the elephant in the room, or rather, aerospace. The F-22 is a very stealthy fighter believed to have a radar cross-section of just 0.0001 meters. The PAC-4 is a stealthy fighter with a claimed cross-section as low as 0.1 meters. From the front. The PAC-4 patent claims a maximum of cross-section of 1 meter. Those cool three-dimensional thrust vector nozzles in the back have a way of calling attention to themselves. This may not be a tremendous limitation if the PAC-4 fights defensive engagements in which its opponents are at the edge of their radar net. However, it's far less ideal for penetrating deeply into hostile radar coverage. That may be of less concern for Russia, but it does mean that the PAC-4 will remain more detectable than the F-22 in a variety of situations. In other BVR capabilities, the two designs are more evenly matched. The F-22 and the PAC-4 both have active electronically scanned array radars, or rather, once the NO-36 by ACER radar completes its development. ACER radars are stealthier, are more resistant to jamming, and boast higher fidelity. The F-22 and PAC-4 will be able to detect each other as they close within 50 kilometers, though which one first is a subject of debate. The T-50 does boast a modern infrared search and track (IRST) system with a maximum 50 km detection range. The F-22 currently has none, though it is slated to receive one by 2020. However, the F-22's engine's nozzles are designed to reduce heat signature, diminishing detection range, while the PAC-4's engines are indiscreet. So, it's less than obvious who will detect who first, given that the PAC-4 may be radar observable within that range. In any event, the IRST does not offer the means to target other aircraft, it merely gives an idea of their general position. The T-50 also has its own L-band radars in the wings which theoretically would be effective in determining the general position of stealth fighters. However, their range is fairly limited and they are not precise enough to lock on weapons. Unlike the IRST, they have the disadvantage of making the T-50 highly observable on radar when activated. If US Air Force exercises pitting Raptors against F-15s and F-16s are anything to go by, long-range missiles will ravage fourth-generation fighters at distances at which they have little to no ability to detect and shoot back at stealth fighters. But when two stealth fighters clash, the maximum applicable range will be much shorter. Both planes carry deadly long-range radar-guided missiles of comparable effectiveness. Russia has its cutting-edge K-77M missiles with a reported range of 200 kilometers, and the United States has the AIM-120D Scorpion with a range of 160. The greater range of the K-77M may be an advantage, but not against a low observable stealth fighter. Superior ramjet-powered missiles, such as the Meteor and PL-15, are already being fielded, though it is not clear if either the F-22 or PAC-FAR will receive them. The F-22 can carry 6 AIM-120s in its internal bays, whereas the PAC-FAR is limited to 4. This does give it a modest edge, as future aerial clashes are likely to involve a lot of missiles flying back and forth, and likely more than one will be launched to ensure a kill. Many experts are skeptical that the PAC-FAR hosts fifth-generation avionics and networking technology used in the latest US fighters, including ULIC, networking with efficient and powerful low-band DESA radar, such as the F-22 EOAX plane, that allow radar-guided missiles to target stealth objects. However, F-22 data links are also outdated and have only recently been selected for operating. Operationally, F-22s will work in concert with an extensive range of sensors and electronic warfare platforms, both at sea and in the air. There is even talk of using stealth fighters to geotagging targets launched from B-52 Arsenal planes. In contrast, Russian analysts insist that ground-based low-bandwidth radars and long-range surface-to-air missiles such as the S-400 are a sure solution against stealth fighters. These tie the T-50 to operate closer to ground-based positions, which may be acceptable given Russia's security posture. Verdict: edge for F-22. History shows that the side that shoots first in vehicular combat usually wins, and the stealthier F-22 seems more likely to do so, though their capabilities may be more even in a head-on approach. What is this? I hear you cry. How dare I despoil the purity of this noble duel of falcons with vulgar commercial gossip? The reason is very simple. The PAC-FAR will only prove a significant opponent to the F-22 if it is produced in meaningful numbers. Which is to say, more than the 12 which are currently on order for delivery by 2020. It's not as if the F-22 is particularly numerous. At 178 operational aircraft, a somewhat slender thread on which to rest the United States helps fare superiority in the next 20 years. However, because the PAC-FAR and Raptor are close enough in capability, a small number of T-50s will not suffice to radically challenge